Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are surrounded by pageantry and tradition, and it's clear to see that college football will be at its best today. In this one, two teams from Conference USA squaring off in a weekday clash to set the table for the weekend ahead. The kickoff team out there and ready to go. Not going to risk a return here. He'll make the fair catch. The offense lining up for a first down play. The give out of the gun. Banging, slithering, whatever it takes to get that ball up to the 32.
Well, it's plays like that that'll help this offense stay in rhythm all game long. If you can have that kind of success on first down running the football, it just opens up your entire playbook moving forward.
Wants to fire on second down. Finds the tight end. At the 45 on its way. There to make the tackle, but the big throw is good enough to give them a first down. Ever since they invented the forward pass, the tight ends have been running the drag and getting the first down.
I think it's because the tight ends is so much versatility. You know, they can block and stay in the formation, or they can release and come out. But
time to take a shot. Oh, he dropped it, and what a missed opportunity early in this football game.
Hey, listen, the quarterback didn't get the completion on that throw, but that doesn't mean you can't try again. Trust in your playmakers outside to push the field and stretch it vertically and make a play for you. It won't surprise me to see this QB take more shots as this game goes on.
The defense trying to get a stop on third down from the 44. They'll stick to the ground looking for the marker. On the move is the 30. Ripping through the defense. Touchdown!
You know, this offense knew coming into the season it was so important for this guy to stay healthy. They needed him week in, week out because he plays at such a high level, and he's showing it here. That last carry was his 10th rushing touchdown of the season.
And the PAT makes it 7-0. They put together a 5-play, 75-yard drive. And that was a scintillating way to finish that one, a 44-yard touchdown run. No return coming. He'll call for the fair catch. Line gets set, first down. They'll try the run. He's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. That'll be a loss of 3.
Just nothing doing on that last run, and they knew coming into this one they were going to be challenged, right? This is one of the best defenses in all of college football. For them to have any shot, they're going to have to do a lot better running the football.
Not what they had in mind to start this drive. Here comes 2nd and 13. Hall will throw it. Looking to the big tight end. Wide open downfield. Excellent job working through the air there, finding a hole in that defense and picking up a first down.
I know we're a long way up here in the booth, but guys, y'all remember that ball you could throw that whistled? That thing was whistling. It had so many RPMs on it.
Looking to go up top on first down. And he was hit just as he was releasing the pass, and it falls to the ground incomplete.
And that defender was just smothering the quarterback on that screen attempt. You know, the QB's taught to hold on to it to the last possible second. He had no shot trying to negotiate that defender.
Now on second down after the incompletion. He's looking to throw. And they're not quite in rhythm there. It's incomplete.
Missed opportunity on offense. QB and receiver just not on the same page there.
They've got a good chunk of ground to cover on 3rd and long from the 41. They want to just keep throwing it. Pulls it in. It's small. And he's not going to make it. The defense denying him the first down.
And that's a nice sigh of relief for the defense, too, right? There was a broken tackle, and the guy made it look like he was going to pick up the first, but because of great effort defensively, they were able to get the stop, and now they're setting up fourth down.
They'll start this drive at the 33-yard line. Going up top on first down. Quarterback now on the run, still looking. And with not much doing downfield, he found his parents open in the stands and threw it to them.
Like the job by the defense there in coverage. They took every option away from the quarterback. He was outside of the pocket, nowhere to go with it, so they forced the incompletion throw away.
Quickly complete. He will step out of bounds, but not before the big pickup and a first down for this offense. He wants to throw. Got rid of it quickly, but it's incomplete.
It leads to second down.
After the misconnection, it's second down. The give to the tailback. Just a 1-yard gain leaves him with 3rd and 9.
I like the decision there in the RPO game too, guys. I know he only got a couple of yards, but that play's going to open up bigger opportunities throwing the football down the field in the RPO game too. So keep handing it off to this guy. Let him see what he can do. And when the defense gives you the look to hold the football and then finally throw it, that's when you take advantage.
Now on first down from the 43.
A nice job by the QB. It's 3rd down. It's money down. I'm looking to throw the ball down the field. What's open? My running back. Find him, hit him, let him do the rest. Good job.
Now adjusting. Crosses the 30. He's got to lay it. He's run out of bounds, but not before turning in a big pickup and moving the sticks for a first down.
I mean, these quarterbacks nowadays can run so fast. Think about who you've got chasing him. Defensive linemen, those big old defensive tackles, defensive ends, linebackers. They can't.
Fires deep toward the end zone. And he was going for the touchdown there, and they couldn't make the connection.
You simply don't see that very often. A quarterback of this guy's caliber missing a guy wide open in the end zone. He makes those throws in his sleep.
And back to the air on second down. Grabbed over the middle. It's Boone. It's loose. Defense falls on the ball. Going to be a turn.
Now, this is a receiving group that practices making catches in traffic, and they're used to having guys trying to rip it free. He's got to do a better job of keeping 5 points of pressure. After he makes the catch, that's a costly giveaway.
Okay, ready? And how about the keen eyes and sharp awareness from the coach to challenge that call, and the officials agree it'll go his way. He's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. That'll be a loss of 3. Now on fourth down, here comes the field goal team. Oh, they tricked him. It's a fake. He wants to throw. They don't ask you how, they ask you if. It's nice to be a riverboat gambler and all, but man, oh man, when it goes against you, it can be ugly. And let's see what kind of ball plays this offense has ready. He wastes no time and comes out throwing. A strike downfield. Off to the races to the right. The 10. And he's in for the score. Touchdown.
Such a nice job by the wide receiver there on the corner route. He did a nice job off of the stem, not telegraphing where he was going. The defender had no idea. When he broke to the corner, he created a little bit of separation. There was an accurate throw. He made the catch and then took it into the end zone.
And we're all square as he's set to kick it away. Fair catch called for and made. Offense getting set for first down. Give to the back. Got room at the 35. And he was loose and in the open field and on his way. A tremendous pickup on that one.
Well, there's the offense trying to take advantage of this running back speed. I like the call. Hand off to the left, to the outside. Put him in space and let him go to work.
He's got his man, makes the grab. Good pickup there. They'll move the chains, and they're set up at the 41. They are dialed in on this drive. A couple of chunk plays, and now they'll snap it on first down. He's going to pass. Going to take a shot. Pass on the way. It's picked off. Taking it the other way. And they capitalize not only on the pick, but on the great return to improve this field position.
QB's got to pick and choose their spots when they want to be really aggressive and try to fit balls in tight windows. Great job by the DB making a big play, getting the ball back to its offense.
Hall to go up top. Oh, what a spectacular layout and catch. And this junior loves to show off that big arm.
That's the end of the first quarter, with the score tied 7-7.
They'll start the drive here with first down to open this period. Defense trying to keep this offense from getting a line on who to block. And they picked up 9 on first down. It'll bring up second and short.
I know it's sexy to throw the football, but if you can pound it away and get these kind of gains, they will just add up, wear the defense down, get first downs, and ultimately get some points.
Looking to throw on second down. It's caught downfield. Lean for the wire. Touchdown.
And it's now the second time this wide receiver has scored. Another outstanding job with the route. Great job securing the catch.
And the PAT gives them a 14-7 lead. Quick strike offense on that 3-play scoring drive. And the score comes on a 35-yard pass for 6. Lining up to cover the kick after that touchdown drive. He'll call for the fair catch here. So we'll see this offense make its way out to start the drive. They'll go to the ground. These little gains can start to add up as he gets it up to the 34.
Listen, you got to be able to know what play to call and what hole to go through. Like the line blocks for a certain hole. Good job getting through the hole, getting what was blocked, getting a nice positive gain, making your situation really good on the next down.
And he's brought to the ground, but not before he gets enough for the first down.
This offense has to get this guy the ball in as many ways as possible. He showed you all of his tools on that last play.
They'll put it in play from the 41 on first down. He's looking to throw it. Shoots it to the left. All kinds of room to throw that one in there. Hit the gas, kid. Wide open ahead. He's there to make the stop, but not before he sets up this offense first and goal from the 7.
Now with a red zone opportunity.
They'll try to get it in with the run. And they try the middle of this stout defense, and they rise to the challenge.
Awesome job up front by this defensive line, being so good at the point of attack and eating blocks, eating some double teams that allows these linebackers to run free, unencumbered, and get to the football.
And he goes out of bounds after a nice pickup on that one.
And I love the idea of getting this guy screen throws because of his ability after the catch. So nice job getting downfield, getting a hat-on hat, and giving him a tunnel to run through.
They'll come to the line just 1 yard shy of the goal line on third down. He'll sneak it and try to surge forward. And he's a real nowhere man tackled in this no-gain land.
Second quarter might not be gamble time, but inside the 3, Palmer, I've got the green light. I'm going for this.
I am too. And you're essentially running a 2-point play here, right? You've got a play you've practiced all week long. That's the play you dial up right here.
And the offense doesn't bat an eye. They'll stay on the field and try to score from the 1 on 4th down. And he's into the end zone for a touchdown. The AT unit on the field. Right down the boulevard. Let's go to the studio now and check in with Kevin Connors. Kevin, what do you got?
Fellas, I think at least a portion of your audience will have an interest in the one that just finished up.
Not going to risk a return here. He'll make the fair catch. They'll throw it on 1st down. Unloads to the wideout. Working on the right. And chunk plays are the name of the game, and they get one here before the defense finally makes the stop. That's the way to start a drive. Now they'll snap it just shy of midfield. Gives it to the back on the draw. And he does a really nice job finding open space and making a good gain before the stop is made. They can really be aggressive after that last play at 2nd and 3. Trying to make that rush think on the draw play here. They get him on the ground, but not before he gets enough for the 1st down.
All right, well, look, I know the defense was feeling real good about their run D coming into this one and how they've been playing up to this point, but finally, David, the offense breaks through and they finally generate something positive on the ground.
And I can't tell you how easy it is. When you're going to throw the ball consistently, and I know it, I'm going to...
Into the end zone for a touchdown.
Offense slips the running back out of the backfield. Nobody decides to cover. My man makes the play. Shows off the hands first. Got to make the catch first. Does the rest. Walks in the end zone for the touchdown.
And with the extra point, the score is now 21-14. About to kick it away after scoring the touchdown. No return coming. He'll call for the fair catch. First down here with time for maybe one more play until the 2-minute warning. The inside handoff. Finds that crease, and he's got 4 out to the 29. We've reached the 2-minute warning, and we have ourselves a ball game, and they have a chance to take the lead here before the half. This offense has a 2nd down play. Quarterback making adjustments with his receivers. On 2nd down, they'll take to the air. Got it in the middle, it's Boone. And he almost ran away from everybody on that one. A huge pickup on that play. They'll rush to the line. Clock stopped for the 1st down. They'll set the chains and wind the clock. Looking for a physical attack from the gun. Couldn't fight his way out of his grasp.
It's an offense that takes pride in being physical. They try to get it going on the ground, but no gain on that one.
Just nowhere to run. Not a lot of wiggle room for the ball carrier.
This defense came in knowing that they had to match their physicality. Let's see if they can keep it up.
Fires one high and deep. He caught it. He's in for the score. Touchdown. They'll try to tack one more on their score. Right down the middle. Quick work on that scoring drive, just 4 plays. And they capped off the drive with a big play through the air, scoring from 50 yards out. All tied up and just about set to kick it away. Fair catch, called for and made. They'll put this one in play. First snap of the drive from the 25. He'll come out throwing on 1st down. Quarterback adapted. He'll pull it down and run. And they drag him down, but not before he picks up the 1st down.
You can tell this is a pass play. He has his eyes down the field. He's looking to throw the football. But how nice is it when you got a guy like this that can scramble and go get you a first down? Just really hard to stop from a defensive perspective.
The offense quickly calls timeout to stop the clock. One big play, and now they've got it at the 42-yard line on first down. Looking to move it through the air. Quarterback moving. He'll get rid of it. He makes the catch. Finally run out of bounds, but he has this offense rolling with a first down.
Out of bounds at the 42. That's a first down for the offense.
He wants to throw. Looking to scramble. This time they were able to keep him in check and stop him short of that first down. Clock's running and they'll try to get to the line warp speed for second down. Hall will throw it. Fires to the wideout. Intercepted. The return never really got started, but boy, he has set his team up at the 28.
And that's why as quarterbacks, you cannot telegraph the pass. You cannot stare down your receivers because these defenders, they're watching it. And that defender knew exactly where the QB was going with that football, and that's why he picked it off.
Got it in the middle. It's Boone. They'll immediately call timeout.
And that's a good job by the drag route there, understanding its zone coverage. So instead of continuing to run across the field, he settles down into an open spot, making it easy for his quarterback.
Offense gets set for second down. He's looking to throw. Takes a shot as he lets it go. That pass is intercepted, but he's out of bounds, so it'll go down as an incompletion and a stroke of good luck for the quarterback.
And listen, as a quarterback, you're trying to find the matchup, trying to find who's open. I don't know if anybody was open, but that was not a greatly thrown football. I don't know if it was miscommunication, but the ball thrown out of bounds and just on to the next down.
Good timing on the quick out. He's run out of bounds, but a big play on that one, and it'll be a first down. A new set of downs after the completion.
First down for the offense.
29 Philly. 2-9 Philly. Longer.
Quarterback will audible. To the air on first down. Fires to the tight end. And he'll step across the sidelines after making a good gain on that one.
Well, this tight end, he's got size and he's got some athleticism, and he's very difficult to cover one-on-one. Defense is going to have their hands full with him today.
Pocket starts to collapse. Trying to escape and get it himself. Nifty little scamper on this one. Enough for the first down, and he slides in safely. That's going to wrap up the first half here, and now we join Kevin with the halftime update. Just about set to put toe to leathers. We are deadlocked here in the third. He'll call for the fair catch here. The drive starts from their own 25-yard line. Trying to set the tone on the ground in the third. Finds that crease, and he's got 4 out to the 29.
You know, it's so important for offenses to want to keep third downs manageable. The way you do that is by having success like that, running the football on first down.
Solid pickup of 4 on first down. It's 2nd and 6. They try to pop a run on the draw. And how about that interior defense stuffing the run for nothing?
Defense is about firing off, getting the offensive guys and staying in the gaps. Everybody knowing where they're supposed to be. You can tell the defense, everyone was right where they're supposed to be, nowhere to run.
On third down, he'll try to pick it up through the air. And the pressure gets there. And down he goes at the 18. Just a great job defensively, making him go through his progressions, and he really didn't have time to do it.
And that's exactly what you do in zone coverage. You drop in your spots, you read the quarterback's eyes, make sure you take away that quick stuff, and a great job rushing the passer and getting the sack.
And the returner will be brought down.
Will take over. First and 10.
First down here for the offense. Wide out in motion. Comes out throwing on first down. Zings it complete to the right. And they'll finally get him down after a terrific pickup. They've done a really good job identifying mismatches, and they find one out of the backfield there.
Reese, I really don't think it's that hard. My guy is better than yours. Find the matchup across the field. Running back's got some speed. Get it in his hands quickly. Throw it to him fast. Let him make somebody miss against a slower guy that's usually a linebacker.
Trying to find his man on first down. Catch in the middle. It's Boone.
And a really nice job by the wide receiver. You run a drag route, find space. They're in zone coverage. They're not covering man-to-man. Find a little hole. Look at that QB. Y'all get on the same page. You could tell they were, and that's why they got the first down.
Quarterback wants to throw on second down. It's complete to the left. Makes the grab, and it's enough for the first down before he's dragged to the ground.
I like the running back there on the route and the patience he showed, really setting it up. He got to the defender, he was able to put his foot in the ground, get some separation, catch it, and turn upfield for the first.
It's now first and 10 from the 24-yard line. And a decent gain there before the defense makes the stop.
Well, this offense came into the game knowing they wanted to be physical, they wanted to establish the line of scrimmage, and they're running downhill right at this defense, and they're churning out positive yardage early.
Quick release by the QB. Wrestled to the ground after picking up the first down.
And a big key on that throw to the slot receiver, guys, is putting the ball out in front. The location of the throw is what helped that guy get extra yards after the catch.
And into the end zone for a touchdown.
His defense is going to have to do a better job being physical. That's 2 rushing touchdowns they've now allowed. They have got to be better close to the line of scrimmage.
And the extra point makes it a 28-21 score. About to kick it off after punching it in for the touchdown. Not going to risk a return here. He'll make the fair catch. Looking for a productive play on first down. He wants to start this drive with a pass. And that one's incomplete. We're taking a shot there, but couldn't hook up.
Well, the good news is he did a nice job reading the coverage. He knew exactly where to go with the football that time. Just a little bit too much on that pass. You wonder if that's just nerves. He's got to settle himself down a little bit.
He's going to let it go. Fires into traffic, intercepted. Got room on the return. The tag. And he's in for the score.
How about a game-changing play for this defense? Stepping in front of the football and knowing what to do with it, taking it all the way to the end zone.
He'll try to tack on one more. And they stay on target with the extra point of 35-21. And for a quick update, let's go to Kevin Connors in the studio.
All right, guys, a little update on what else is happening in college football this weekend. NC State looks like a bunch of world beaters right now, marching all over that field at will. They're up 14 over Clemson. We are the eyes and ears of the college football fan, and we've got you covered all day here in studio, guys.
And how about that one? Kevin will be keeping an eye on everything going on elsewhere. And that incomplete pass caused by the big hit on first down. Second down coming. After the misfire, now on second down. Out of the gun to give to the back. He's knocked down in the backfield. He'll lose a couple.
This has got to be disappointing if you're the offense, guys. You were expecting to have a lot of success running the ball, especially against this defense, which has struggled so much this season, but just nothing doing. They have not been good enough in the trenches so far.
And this offense just can't afford not to get the first down here. Already trailing big, and the clock is not their friend. And a missed opportunity on third down as the defense knocks it free, and fourth down is coming up.
This is a point where you just got to be able to focus. And the critical down and distances in this game, like that third down right there, when it's a good throw, you got to make the catch. You've got to be able to make that play.
You want to talk about aggressive or wacky? This head coach is keeping his offense on the field inside his own 30. The incomplete pass, fourth down, fails, and they'll turn it over.
Yeah, and down by 2 scores, and I guess you get to the point where you got to say, I'm going to go for it. We got to be aggressive. We got to make this happen. They tried to make it happen. The defense comes up big. Now, it is not looking good.
He's brought down, but he's got him inside the 10. First and goal from the 8.
Another good run. Man, he has been picking up yards in bunches today. Jesse, showing off all the skills.
And he's showing no signs of slowing down, David. This guy just gets better as the game goes on. He is a beast.
Now he's going to glide away from pressure. Keep it on the ground, and he's in for the touchdown. They've got the lead and trying to put this one in a hammerlock here in Week 10. Here's the snap. Oh, now the kicker's going to throw it. He makes the grab in the end zone. They must have seen something on film as they turn the fake into a 2-point conversion. Almost ready to kick it away after scoring the touchdown. No return coming. He'll call for the fair catch. Here comes the offense on first down. Hall to go up top. Throws to the wideout. How about that play to get a hand in there and force the incompletion?
This quarterback is out of sorts at this point in the game, guys. He's already thrown 2 picks. His fundamentals are falling apart. He threw that last pass off of his back leg. This is not a good sign for this quarterback moving forward.
Touch pass on the jet sweep. He's brought down, but he went backwards after that completion, not the way they had it drawn up.
The first thing you have to do to make these plays successful offensively is I have to block the edge. I got to get my speedster in space. They didn't do a good job of getting that guy out there in space where he could really use his jets. Nice job by the defense understanding it, seeing it, rallying to it, and tackling that guy in front of us.
Third and long situations are really hard to convert. The defense knows it's going to be passed. The pass rushers are getting upfield. You're under pressure. You don't have timing. And as a result now, fourth down.
Slips through the line. That's a perfect example of not settling for a fair catch. Pick up whatever yardage you can and help out the offense. Out comes the offense as they get set to take over. Out of the gun, the inside handoff to the running back.
Ball carried by the running back. Picks up 3. Brings up.
Got 3 on first down. It's 2nd and 7. It's a reverse. And they'll stop him just short of the first down, just inches away from moving the sticks.
Third down coming up.
Now facing a third down as they come back to the line after the break. Motion from the offense. He's looking to throw on 3rd and short. Snags it. Steps into the end zone for a touchdown. This team just knows how to finish. They keep getting better and better and better, and they are close to going 9-0. And the extra point is good. Lining up to cover the kick after that touchdown drive. Fair catch called for and made. On first down, here comes this offense. He's going to pass. Ball in the air, intercepted. Was looking for a little more daylight for a big return, but he'll settle for the pick and setting his offense up at the 24.
And as a defensive lineman late in the game, man, when you know it's passed, you're pinning your ears back, trying to get to the quarterback, and DBs are trying to do this. Pad them stats, get the INT. Nice job by this D.
Nice job decision-making by the quarterback there in the RPO, not handing it off, knowing he had to throw it, but then also understanding his open guy was going to be in the right flat.
From the gun, the running back looking for room. Defense there to stop him after a pickup of 2 down to the 15.
Brought down at the 15-yard line. Brings up third down.
And now on third down after that last run. Timeout called by the defense. It's their first of the half as they'll make some adjustments. Here on third down.
Green 25.
They'll try to run for it.
I'll say, watching this offense this year, one of the things you have to be really happy about is their ability to move the sticks. This is one of the top 25 offenses in the country in getting first downs. That running back is one of the biggest reasons. He is a weapon.
And a nice job by the running back, finding space, getting downhill, making the good run. Great job finishing with his pads.
Operating in the red zone here on second down. They'll give it to the back. They'll get him stopped just short of the end zone, but they're in business here with a first down.
Man, this offense would really like to lean on this guy in the fourth quarter, right? They've got the lead, and you just saw his ability there, breaking a tackle. He looks like he's getting stronger as the game goes on. I'd expect him to get a few more carries here before this game's over.
And it's not a surprise who they gave the football to. When you get down in this area, they're going to call his name. The physical back, they're going to give him the football. They're going to use their identity of physicality and run game down here in the red zone.
It's going to be tough sledding for the offense here. They're trying to ice this game by running the football and leading the clock. They've got a pretty good lead here late in the game, but the defense knows the run's coming, right? So they're going to be loading the line of scrimmage, getting stops like what they just did. Be interesting to see what the offense does on this next one.
They'll try to run it in. He's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. That'll be a loss of 3.
I think it would be great if this offense leaned on the run game more in the red zone. Leaned on their back, man. Give it to him. Let him do his thing. He hadn't even gotten the end zone yet this season, so love to see him get that opportunity to maybe punch one in here.
Quarterback reacting to what the D is showing. Wants to go up top. Unleashes to the end zone. And another 6. Grabs it for a touchdown, and the blowout continues. The coach still thinks he was right. The officials say he was not. The challenge is denied, and the timeout is gone. And the kick is good, but there is a penalty flag because he paid for making that kick. I think they're going to get him for roughing the kicker. They're lining up to kick it off, and he ought to be able to knock this one anywhere he wants after that extra 15 yards with the roughing the kicker. Not going to get a return here. They'll bring it out to the 25 as the kickoff sails through the back of the end zone. I'm not really sure what the thought process here is other than just trying to troll them by not running a play. After not getting a thing done on first down, it's second and long from the 24. Tried to freeze him with a fake spike. That pass is incomplete, and they might be fortunate it wasn't knocked free for a fumble. It'll be third down. If they can convert here, that type of play can really give you a shot of momentum. And he intercepts it. Oh, he would have loved to pick up a few more yards on that return, but they've still got it at the 31.
This is a beautiful situation for the defense. When you're up by 2+ scores and you're in this situation, you know exactly what is coming. It's going to be a pass. They have to because the clock is their enemy. Great job playing pass, forcing the interception, almost putting the nail in the coffin.
first down from the 11. They want that clock to run. And I think they'll give him 2 on that one. 2nd and 8 coming up.
And the defense is still fighting. They haven't had the day that they dreamed of. You know, talking to the coaches coming to the game, like they thought they had a good plan. They'd be ready to attack and limit some of the damage this offense has done. They haven't done it today, though. They got to...
And they're going to score again. Yet another touchdown as they just add to their total.
And this always is the debate of where you fall. It's your job to stop me or I should get conservative. Because this offense obviously has had themselves a day. And apparently their day's not over. They're going to continue to keep scoring. And the defense better do something about it.
He'll take the return, try to get better field position. Didn't find any crease in that kickoff coverage, and he'll be stopped at the 17.
Will take over. 1st and 10.
First snap of this drive will come from their own 17.
42 spot.
Handoff to the single running back. Now they've got even more breathing room out to the 31 and a fresh set of downs.
I think it's just too little too late, David, at this point. That's a play that they could have used a lot earlier in this game, but because of miscues, they're down by a lot late, and I don't think they're going to have enough time to claw back into this one.
Yeah, and I'm fine with you running it if you want to do that. My goal now is with this lead, if you want to run it, so be it, but just don't give up the big plays. Let that clock continue to roll. Make him earn it all the way down the field and take a lot of time off that clock.
Now on 2nd down. Offense will use a timeout. 19 seconds left in the game. 2nd down coming up. Hall will throw it. And he was drilled just as he released the pass. It's incomplete.
And this defense has put a game together. Like, it is hard to put all the facets of defense together. Run defense, pass defense. They've been so good, man. Dialed in. You could tell they were ready. They were fast. They were physical. They dominated this football game.
Such a big part to convert these 3rd downs, and they've got it at the 42.
You got to have short area quickness. That running back there doing what it takes to make sure he got that 1st down.
With the clock running, this should be the final play. And they'll take a knee. When you know you have a team outclassed, the ability to play to that standard and finish with a blowout like this is really impressive.
And it's almost like playing against yourself, right? You know you're better. You know you're going to win the football game, but how do I continue to still execute? This was so easy. Great execution. Just beat down in every facet.
And I think as a player, you just love being in such great rhythm. And we saw that right from the get-go in this game. Offense just able to matriculate the ball down the field. Defense was not giving anything up. What a great game plan coming in, and this was just total domination.
So that's going to do it for us. For Jesse Palmer, David Pollack, I'm Reese Davis saying so long. This has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.